So what is up guys, welcome to this new video. Hope you are well. My name is Arfan and today we are going to create this nice little portfolio website. So this portfolio website, we will create this with React.js and Tailwind CSS. And also here you can see what we are going to create. So in the top we have a nice little introduction section. So here you can see, and after that we have our services section. So that's what the services are. And after that we have our nice little works section where you can showcase your works, recent works. And after that we have our section for about me. So here you can provide your about your own information, and also you can provide your own image and with a contact info. And finally we have this nice little footer. And also one more thing, this whole website will have a light theme as well. So if I click, you can see we will have this light theme. So in the light theme, as you can see, the whole website is looking really great. Every components, everything is looking really fine in this both themes. So yeah, we will have this nice little theme switcher in the corner, which will allow you to switch between the themes. So this is it. This is what we are going to create in this video. I hope you guys will like it. So no more talk, let's do it. So first of all, let's initialize the project, and for that just go to the directory where you want to actually create the project. So right now I am in the desktop and here I will create my project. So to create that we can use create React app, or in this case we will use Vite. So let's actually create our application with Vite, and for that we need to run npm create Vite at latest. So npm create Vite at latest, and after that if I hit enter, it will ask some questions. So let's actually answer those. And the first thing that we need to actually provide is the name for the project. So I will use the React Tailwind portfolio like that. And after that it will actually ask to select a framework, and for that we will use React, and let's actually select React and also React here, and that's it. So now it will create a folder, and here it is, the folder, and we need to actually go to inside this folder. So cd React Tailwind portfolio, and right now we are inside the folder, and after that we need to install all the package from this folder. And before that, let's actually open this folder with our Visual Studio Code, and as you can see right now we are in the folder, and here you can see we have some packages that we need to install. So let's actually do that, and for that I will just use npm install, and it will install all the packages from this package.json. So let's wait for that. So fine, all the packages are installed perfectly, and after that we will install Tailwind here. So to set up the Tailwind, first of all we need to install some of the dev dependency for our Tailwind CSS. So npm install -d, because those are dev dependency. And first thing will the Tailwind CSS, and after that post CSS, and also auto prefixer like that. So let's install those. So once we have those, we can check here. We can see Tailwind CSS, auto prefixer, and the post CSS. Fine. And after that we need to actually configure our Tailwind CSS with the project, and for that we will run another command. The command is npx tailwind init and -p. So we will initialize our Tailwind CSS with the post post CSS that the package that we installed here. So for that -p, and once we actually run this command, it will actually initialize our Tailwind CSS, and it will generate this two file. As you can see, it is tailwind.config.js and also postcss.config.js. And if I open tailwind.config.js, as you can see. So this is the normal config. So after that, if I open post CSS, as you can see in the post CSS, it is already configured with the Tailwind CSS and auto prefixer that we already installed. Awesome. So right now let's configure this Tailwind config.js. So here the first option that we can see is the content. So we need to actually say where our content lives. So for that, let's actually give the path. So our content lives inside the source folder, and we will say it will be inside the source folder, and where we can have multiple directory, so we will select all of them, and I will say it can be JSX or JS. So that's it. So it will select everything, as you can see. So this is the main thing, the content, and after that we will also say we will use dark mode, and for the dark mode we will use it with class, and I will show you how we will use it. So this is it for now, and if I save that, it will be fine. So now if I open our source folder, we have a lots of files, and before that let's open our project. So to open our project, let's come here and we need to run npm run dev, I believe. So it will open our project. So let's wait for it. Here it is. It will open our project in localhost 3000. So open your browser and type localhost 3000, and it will open it there, and you will see the Vite app that we created. So here it is. We have our initial Vite app. So we do not need all these things. So let's actually delete all the file that we have here. So just delete everything except this main.js. So we need this main.js. So now in our main.js, as you can see, we have this, and you can see here we do not have the app.js or app.jsx right now because we deleted that. So let's actually create our new app.jsx. So in your Vite application, you need to actually make sure that the extension for your file is JSX, not the JS. So make sure about that you are using JSX file extension. So in our app.js, for now, let's say that hello world, and this app.js should be in capital. So let's actually make that capital. So that's it. So now we have our app.js, and also one thing, we do not have this index.css. So let's remove this from our main.jsx. So once we do that, we can see our app here, the text. So which means everything is working perfectly. So one more thing we need to do for our Tailwind CSS is we need to actually add all the Tailwind directives. So for that, let's create a new file inside this source. The name of that will be the styles, and inside that we will have tailwind.css. So in this file, we will actually add those Tailwind directive. I'll just copy it and paste it here. So these 3 lines, most important. So just have those 3 lines here, and after that you need to actually import the file, in this main.jsx. So let's import that. I will say import, and I will provide the path which is inside the styles and Tailwind CSS, and that's it. So once we do, I can see already there is some change happening, and if I want to actually test that, I can actually go to app.js, and here let's actually make it h1. So this one, and I will just say class name text 5xl, and it should be a large text, as you can see. And also I can just change the color. I will just say cyan 400, and as you can see, it is actually working. So that's it. We configured Tailwind successfully. So here let's create the hero section first of all. So for that, I will create a components folder inside the source folder. Let's get this file, and let's say that components, and inside that I will create a new file with the name of hero section.jsx, and here we will have our component. And for now, let's actually keep it like that. And after that, if you are wondering how I am actually creating these boilerplate with this shortcut, so you can actually use this extension, I believe. Let's actually find it. Yeah, I think this is the file extension that I'm using. just install that, and after that you can actually use this shorthand to create this kind of boilerplates. So that's it. So now let's actually come here in our app.js and let's actually import this new file that we created. So here I will just say hero section, and this is a component, and if I save, I can see the hero section text which is coming from here. Awesome. So in our hero section, instead of this text, let's actually delete that, and we will actually have a h1 hi, this is Arfan, like that. And also if I save that, I can see the text, and here in our div we will have some class. So the class name we will have is the flex and item center and justify center, and also flex column, and padding y in y-axis we will have 20. So we will have that, which will actually make things in the center, and we'll see it in a moment. And also here let's actually wrap this thing in another div which will make this center, I mean the text align center. So I will just say text center, and if I come here and save, as you can see right now we are actually having this in the center. And if you notice, we are actually having this padding y20, and in the top, if I actually remove this zoom here, as you can see, and from the top, as you can see, we can see this 20 padding, and also in the bottom we also have this padding. And for this flex, we can see everything is now in center, and also we are having this text align center. That's why the text you can see it is in the center. And also I will have another text which will be the paragraph, and here I will just have some lorem sum. Let's have 10 words, and that's fine. As you can see, it is also having the center, text and center, because it is inside this div. And let's actually style those h1 and paragraph, and for that I will have the class name, and I will say the text will be the 2xl, and also for our medium we will actually make it responsive, so text 4xl. So for our small device it will be 2xl, and from the medium to all the device it will be 4xl. And after that we will say margin bottom 1, and also margin for our MD I will say margin bottom 3, which means once again this will be for our small device, and from the middle or midpoint to the large device the margin bottom will be 3. And also we'll have a color here, so text indigo, that's the color we will have here, and the shade will be 600, and that's it. And let's say that the font will be the semi-bold, and that's it. So right now we are having it, but right now we do not have any kind of font. If you can see, we do not have the font. So let's actually get the font, and for that we will use fonts.google.com, and the font that I will use here is the Inter font, and I'll go to the Inter, and I will actually choose from 300. So we have the 300, we will also have 400 and 5 and 6. So those are the fonts, and let's actually get this, and I will copy this link tag that we have here. And also whenever you will copy, you can see there are multiple links, and I will actually show you. First just copy all the links that you will see. So if I copy that and paste it here, so now we can see we have 3 actual links, and the first 2 ones the pre-connect with the Google Fonts API, and after that we have our actual link for the font. And the font that we are using, as I said, it will be Inter, and 3, 4, 5 and 600 font weight will be selected here. And to use it with our Tailwind CSS, we need to go back to our Tailwind config.js, and here we need to actually extend our theme with these new fonts. And for that I will just say extend font family, and the font that we want is the Inter, and I will say Inter, and fallback will be the serif, like that. And that's it. So to use that, let's go to our hero section, and here in our h1 let's add another class which is the font Inter, and that's it. So now I can see, if I open that, come here, and you can see, okay, So here it is, the font inter is the inter font that we actually got from the Google's API, and also we have the fallback sans serif. Awesome. So that's it. And to use it in the whole application, I think we can use that in our app.jsx. So let's actually wrap this app.jsx with a div. And here in this div, let's actually say we will have the class name, which will be the font inter. So whenever we will use that, everything inside this div will use this font inter, because every font will be inherited from the parent. So now we don't need to use it here. It will be fine. As you can see, no changes. And after that, let's go to our paragraph and have a class name here. And here, first of all, we will say text MD. So the size for this text will be medium, and this is for our small device. And for our large device and medium device, we will use text XL. And also max width for this one will be the width MD. So medium. And as you can see, it is actually having a line break here, because it is actually having this amount of width, which is for our medium, as you can see. So the max width is 28 rem. So this is also another thing that I want to mention. So the extension that I am using for this Tailwind intelligence, you can say, where it is, let's actually search Tailwind, and I am using this one, Tailwind CSS intelligence, as you can see. So this is the extension that I'm using, and it will actually help you whenever you are actually working with Tailwind CSS. Just install this, and you will see all the class available for you here. So this is the class I can see, and you can see the details information about this class. I can see here this class will mean max width will be 28 rem. And after that, let's say that in the margin bottom we will have 3. And also the text color will be the gray 600 shade, and that's it. If I actually save that, I can see the color is changed. And the last thing that I will do, I will create a button here. So after the paragraph, let's get a button, and for now let's say that it will be a death link, and in our button we will say C works, and let's actually have the classes. And before that, if I save, I can see the link, and let's actually have those classes. So for our class name, I will say inline block, because this is a anchor tag, and by default the anchor tag will have the display inline. So after that, I will say padding X will be 8, and padding Y will be 3, and border will be we'll say border will be transparent, and text will be the base, and font will be the medium, and rounded MD. So this is the border radius actually. And once again, if you do not understand the class, you can just hover it, and the extension that I mentioned, it will actually help you. So as you can see, this is the border radius, and the amount of the border radius is also declared here. Awesome. So after that, we will say the text color will be the white. Also, we need to change the background color, because the text color is white, we cannot see that, so we need a background color. So the background color I will use is the indigo. So indigo 600. So this is the one. And after that, I will say whenever I will hover, the background will change, so it will be indigo 700. So this is how you will actually apply hover effect. So this is the normal color for the background, but whenever I will hover, and after that I will just say what I want to change. So now whenever I hover, as you can see, the shade is now a little bit darker. And also beside that, I will say whenever we will be medium to large device, I will actually increase the font, so the text will be MD. So initially it was text base, but for our medium to large device, it will be now text MD. And if I save, nothing will be changed here. And if I go to a small device, as you can see, the font size is now smaller. If I go to medium to large, it is now bigger. As you can see the difference here. So now let's work on our dark mode here. So for that, in our app.js, let's come here, and here let's say that the background that we'll have for the whole application will be the white for the dark mode we will have the BG slate 900. So this will be for our dark mode. So here, as you can see, nothing is changed. The reason behind that is, if I come to our tailwind.config.js, here we said the dark mode we will actually set it with the class, and we need to actually set our dark mode class in our root index.html. So in our index.html, if I come here in the body, I can just add a class with the name of dark, and if I save, as you can see, I can see the dark mode. So we need to actually configure our dark mode with the class, and we need to add the dark class whenever we wanna enable our dark mode. And for that we will actually create a function in our app.js, and here in our app.js, first of all, let's say that constant, and I will just say theme and set theme, and we will have our user state, and we will get the user state from the React, and the initial one for this one will be null. So right now, as you can see, I'm using user state, and after that I will actually get our initial theme using user state hook, sorry, use effect hook, and we need to import that. Already it is auto imported, which is great. And here I will just say, so in our use effect hook I will say if our window dot match media. So we will actually check our preferred color scheme by our system. So I will just say prefer color scheme, and it will check if it is dark. I will actually match it first of all. So if it match with the dark, I will say set theme will be dark. If it is not matched with the dark, in this case I will say set theme will be light. So now we will have our initial theme, and we will run this thing once, and for that I will actually create this empty dependency array, so it will run only once. So after that, one more thing I will do here, so I will say another use effect hook here, but this one, what I will do, based on our actual theme, I will add the dark class to our body. So I will say if our theme is dark, in this case document element dot class list dot add, I will just add the dark class that we have. But if it is not a dark theme, in this case we will actually remove this class. So copy this, paste it. Instead of adding that, I will actually remove the class. If I save, I can see it is already happening because my preferred color scheme is already dark, and that's why I can see that default dark theme is already here. So hey guys, I'm from the future, so I did a mistake here. So here you can see in this use effect we do not have any kind of dependency array. So in this use effect we should have a dependency array, and we also add a dependency. So the dependency that we will need here is the theme. So this is the theme that we need to add here. So whenever we will change the theme, it will also invoke this function, and we should see this in action. But we also we should also create a switcher so that we can actually switch between the dark theme and the light theme. So for that we need to actually create a UI, and for that we will create a button. So let's actually wrap this whole thing with this React fragment, and inside that I will have a button which will be our switcher in this case, and I will say the type will be button, and on click we will run a function which will be our handle switcher, handle theme switcher or switch, and the class name that we need for this button will be it will be fixed button, which will be inside this in this corner, I mean. So we need to actually make it fixed, so I will just say fixed, and the z index for this one will be 10, and also it will be in the right side, so right 2, and from the top it will be 2 as well. And the background for this one will be BG Indigo Indigo 500, and the text will be large, and finally we will have a padding 1 all around, and round will be the MD, means the border radius. And if I save that, we should see something, because we are not seeing because we are not having anything for this button. So let's actually say hi for now. So let's check if something is wrong here. So in the console I can see something is wrong, and we can see the handle theme switch, it is not defined, so we need to create the function. So let's create the function constant handle theme switch. So this function we need to create, and for now we will not do anything here. And if I create that, everything is back, and I can see our little button here, which is looking good. So here inside the button we need to actually check our theme. If our theme is dark, if it is dark, in this case we will have an emoji for our dark, and also if it is not dark theme, I will have this sun emoji. So if I save that, right now it is dark and I can see our moon emoji, and if I click once again, nothing is happening because we do not have this function working right now. So let's actually create the function, or let's set the switcher. So to switch our theme between the dark and light, I will just say set theme. If theme is already dark, in this case I will actually make it light, otherwise I will actually make it dark. So it will actually switch the theme, and let's test it out. So now if I click, it is making light, and if I again click, it is making dark. Awesome. Our theme switching stuff is looking good, but I think the color for this text, it is not good. So let's go back to our hero section. So here in our paragraph text, let's actually define a color for our dark. Right now we are having this gray color, which will be for our light theme. That's fine. And let's define a separate color for our dark, and I will do that like that. As you can see, dark, and after that colon, and after that you can actually mention that you want to have in the dark theme. So in this case I want to have a color, so I will just say text gray 300, and if I save that, it is looking much better. And also for this one, for our heading, I can actually change the color a little bit. So let's say that for our dark, it will be text indigo, and in this case it will be 500, which means it will be a little bit lighter. So if I save, as you can see, it is a little bit lighter and it looks good. So that's it. Now we have our dark theme working perfectly. So after that we will create our next section, and the next section that we'll have is the service section. So let's actually create that, and here let's actually create our new component with the name of services. And once again, here the extension will be JSX, and here let's say RFCE, and for now that's fine. And let's actually get this thing in our app.jsx. So after our hero section, let's say we will say the services, and if I save that, there is nothing right now, and we can see only the text here in the corner. So let's actually get this done. So first thing that I will do, I will have a services section title, and let's actually create a new component for that. The name of this component will be the section title JSX, and in this I will create a function RFCE, and let's get it in our services section. So here instead of this, I will say section title, and if I save that, we can see section title text. So here in our section title we will get the children, and also we will get the ID, and here in our section title we will have H1, and if there is any ID we will provide that. And after that we will also have some classes here. So the class name that we will have, we will say text will be 3XL, and font we will have a bold font, and margin bottom will be 5, and text color will be the indigo 600, and dark, for our dark we will change the color, so text will be indigo 500, so indigo like that. So that's fine, and we will actually have the children here in our h1, so children will be fine. So whenever I will pass a children, now here let's say that for our text I will say our services. So if I save, I can see this section title working great. And also if you notice that it is actually right now in the edge in the left side. So let's actually create a container so that we can have a nice layout. So in our app.jsx, let's actually create the container. So we will actually create the container here. We will create the container and we will wrap this whole thing with that. So here to create our container, I will have these classes. So the max width for this one will be 5XL. And if you want to see that, you can actually hover it, and as you can see the max width for this one will be 1024 pixel, and that's what we need. And also whenever we have max width, we need to make sure that margin in the x-axis will be the auto, so now it will be in the center. And after that I will say the width will be 11 by 12, and if you notice the width will be 91%, that's mean. And if I save that, now it is now having this nice layout. And if you want to see the layout, you can go to inspect and just get the, so that's it. This is the div for our container, and if you click that, you can see this is the layout that we have. In the left and right side we have some space, and the content will be in the middle. So that's what we need, and this will be for our whole application, so all the components will be inside of that. Awesome. So after that, let's go back to our services. So here in our services, let's create a div. This will wrap all the services stuff, and here I will just have some padding. So class name, and I will say padding in the y-axis will be the 12, and if I do, I can see in the top and bottom 12 padding. And after that I will go to our div, and inside this div we will have our services item, and let's actually create our services first of all. And for that, let's actually create a file here. So if I come here in our source folder, let's get a new folder. The name of that will be data, and inside that we will have all of our data. And for our services, let's get one. So I will just say services, and the extension for this file will be JSX. So from this file, from the services.jsx file, so this will be for our data. So we will export an array here. So export default, we will export this array where we will have multiple objects, and each object will represent a service. So I will say something like title will be the web design, and also we will have a description, let's say. So description like that, and let's have some text. Let me copy some text here. So now as you can see, we have our first object which is having this title and the description. So that's fine, and also we need a icon here, and for that we need to create we need to install another package, and the package is the React icons. And here we will actually install this package. The name of the package is the React icons. So npm install React icons like that, and it will install it. And the icon that I am going to use is this one for our web design. So this is md web, which is coming from React icons /md. So we can use it here directly. So I will say this will be a component, so md web, and here we'll have some class. So the class will be, it will be full width, and also h will be full as well, means the height will be 100% as well. So that's how we will create all the other services. So let me actually copy this and paste it here. And as you can see, we have 3 services: web design, UI design, and web development. And for the first one, we are using MD web icon, and the second one we are using this icon, which we need to import. And also for the third one, we need to import this VS Code icon. So let's actually get the icon. So I will also copy it and paste it here. So right now we are having the icon, which will be fine. And if I save that, and right now we need to go back to our services section. So now in our services section, we need to import this services data, and I will just say import services from the data services. And here in our div, we will look through our services map, and here I will just say for each of our service we'll return let's say a h1 for now, where we will have service.name. and if I save, do we have the name? Sorry, it is not name, it is title. So that's why it is not showing the, that's it. As you can see, we can see the title from our services, which is fine. So instead of having this here, we will actually create a separate component for our services. So the name of that will be services item. It should be service item, I think. So service item.jsx, service item.jsx, and create a component for it. And if I save that, and I will use this here, so service item, and if I import that, now I can see the text is coming from service item. And here, first thing that I will do, I will provide a key. So for the key, I will use service service.title, because this will be unique always. And also let's make it like that, and title will be service.title, and icon will be service.icon, and finally we have the description will be the service.description. So that's it. So now in our service item, we can actually destructure those items that we provided from this file. So destructure those. So title and icon and description. Like that. So now we can use that. And before that, here let's say that, so to use that, I will say we'll have a h1 for our title, where I will set the title, and we will have a paragraph where I will have my description. Looking good, I can see my title and the description, and also have the icon here inside the div. Inside the div we will have our icon, so I will just have the icon like that. Okay, I can see my huge icon, and we need to style those. So first of all, for our icon, let's say that the class name will be text gray 800, and also for our dark color, the dark theme, the text will be gray 300, and for the width we will use 6. And if I save that, as you can see, it is already a small, the color is also changed, and we'll say the height will be 6 as well, and margin bottom will be 3. So that's it. A little bit margin bottom is added here. And also in this whole div, I will have some classes. So the classes will be, let's say that background will be slate 300, and on hover we will change the color. So background will be slate 200, and if I save that, I can see it is now slate 300, and if I hover, it is now lighter, it is now slate 200. So these colors, as you can see, it is for our light theme. So let's add the colors for our dark theme. So let's say that dark, on our dark theme, the BG will be slate 800, and the dark theme hover, so we will have a BG slate 700. So if I save that, as you can see right now, it is slate 800 and I'll hover, it is now 700. Awesome. And beside that, we need to add some padding here. So let's say that padding will be 5 all around. Looking good. And also one thing we also need here, we need to actually have a translate whenever we'll hover. So I will say whenever I'll hover, we will have a translate. So I will have translate y2. So translate y2, not x. Let's make it y. So once we have that, it will not work. So if I save, as you can see, the translate, this should be y, right? And also beside that, we need to add our transition here. So transition, and if I now save, now as you can see, it is a little bit smoother. And beside this all thing, also we need another class, which is the transform. So if I save that, and if I hover this, as you can see, this transform color will be needed whenever you will have any kind of translate. And that's it. Now it will be fine. So now whenever I have this, we have this nice transition going on. After that, we also need our rounded corner. So for that, I will just say rounded MD. And we need some gaps here between them. I will actually add those gaps in our this parent div. I will show you later. But before that, let's also style our this title and this paragraph. So for that, in our h1, let's have a class name. So this h1 will have a font semi-bold, and we'll have a text LG, and text color will be gray 600, and for our dark theme, it will be text gray 200, and finally margin bottom will be 1. And if I save, it is looking good, this one, and also everything is looking fine. And finally, let's also style our paragraph. The class name will have the text MD, and for our color, we'll say text gray 600, and for our dark color, it will be text gray 300. And if I save that, looking good. If I go to dark white mode or light mode, it is also looking good. Awesome. And finally, let's come back to our services section. Here we need some style. So in our services, we need to make it grid. So let's say that class name will be the grid, and also grid columns 1, and it will be for our small device, it will be only one column, but whenever we will go to middle, it will be grid calls 2, but whenever we will go to large, it will be grid calls 3. And if I save, right now it is 2 because we are now in the middle. If I go to large, as you can see, it is now 3. Awesome. And also between them, we need some gap. So gap will be, let's say that 5. And if I save that, awesomely done, as you can see. So now we have our services section done. So now after our services section, we will have our works section. So let's actually create that. And before that, I need to create the component. So let's create it, works.jsx, and here let's get a component like that and import that component, this one. If I save that, I should see this works text, and here in our works, the first thing that we need is our section title, and we also we already created the component for that. So let's say section title, where we will have our ID will be the works, and we will have our recent works section title, and we need to import it obviously. So if I save that, I can see it. And also let's have some padding in the top and bottom in this div. So let's say that the class name will be padding y12, and if I save that, lots of space is added here. After that, we need to actually create our work item. So like the services item, we need to create another component which will be work item .jsx, like that, and create this component. So if I save that and come here, we can actually create a div. Inside this div we will have our single item. So let's actually call the work item that we created, and I can see work item text. And before we go further, we need to actually create the data for this our works. So let's go back to our data and let's create a new file with the name of works.jsx. Not JSX. In this time I will create JS, because in this file we will not write any kind of JSX. So in our work.js we will return a export default. So we will return this array where we will have objects of single work. So for that we will have the title, and we will also have our image URL, and also we will have our text. So tag will be something like, so it will be an array. Inside this array we will have something like HTML. So let's say that CSS. So let's say that it is a project, so portfolio project, and we have the image URL for that already. So I will provide that here, image URL. So, and also for this tag, I mean for this project, we used these technologies. So that's what I mean, and we will do it here, and I will actually copy the whole works array here and paste it, and I will show you here. So these are actually my tutorials that I already uploaded in this YouTube channel. So if you are actually interested, you can check those out. So for the first work that we have here, as you can see, it is the title tech hub blog, and also we have an image for that. So this is coming from our GitHub. So I just copied the URL from the GitHub, this banner image, and also we have our text here. So this will be similar for all of this. So this is Shaif's cuisine, and it is a HTML CSS project, and after that we have our Ions portfolio React.js project, and after that our artistic, which is also React.js project. So these are projects that we will be using for our works. Let's come here in our works, and first of all we need to actually import works from this data, and after that we need to actually look through our works data. So works.map, and for our each of work we will return something, right? So we will return the item that we created. So let's say that work item. So this is already created, and here we will provide some props. The first thing that I will do, I will provide a key here. So work.title, I think we have title, right? Yeah, title. And also beside the title we also have our image URL, title, and text. So let's also give those, and let's make it like that. And here let's say that image URL will be, so work.image URL, and title will be work.title, and finally the tag that we have here will be work.text. So this is an array actually, so it will provide all this thing in our work item. Here in our work item we need to destructure those. So let's say image URL and title and tag. So here in our image, in our item, so first thing that I will do, I will have the image. So let's say we will have our image here, image URL, and for the alt text, and for the alt text we will have the title. So I will say the title, Awesome. So if I save that, I should see this all banner is coming from our GitHub. Awesome. And after that, we should also have some class here for this image. The class will be width will be full, and we will say the height for this one will be 36, and for our medium we will say the height will be 48, and finally object fit will be the cover, object cover. So that's it. So if I hover, as you can see, this is object fit cover actually. So awesome. So now as you can see, the height is now a little smaller and it is looking good for our use case. So after that, we will have our div, and here we will have all of our info. So in this div, we will have our h3 for our title. So I will just set title here, and if I save that, I can see the title. Awesome. And after that, so inside the title, let's also have some classes. So in our title, we will say the text will be LG, and for the medium, it will be text XL, and margin bottom will be 2. We will have in our medium to large, margin bottom will be 3, and also font will be semi-bold. So this is it, and if I save that, looking good as you can see. So finally we need some color here, so I will provide the color in this div. So the class name will be for our color text gray 600, and if I save, now it is looking good. And also for our dark theme, it will be text gray 300. We need this. So now it is looking good. So for the light theme, it will be like that, and for the dark theme, it will be like that. Awesome. So after that, also beside these classes, we need some padding here. So let's say that the padding will be 5, and also the width will be full. And if I save, now as you can see, we have some padding. So after this h3 text, means after the title, we will have our paragraph. Inside this paragraph, we will have our tag. So here inside the paragraph, we will say for our tag. So if you remember, this tag is an array, so we need to actually map through that. And for each of our item, we will say we will return a span, where we will we need to first of all provide a key. So I will provide the item itself because it should be unique always, and here we will say the item as a text. And something is wrong here, so let's check. So if I refresh once again, tag is not defined. Okay, so we actually mistakenly did that, so it should be tag here. So if I save that, now as you can see, we can see our tag. It's looking good, and we need some style definitely. So let's actually provide the style here. So class name for our each of tag item, it will be inline, and inline block actually padding x will be 2, and padding y will be 1, and background color will be slate 200. And if I save that, looking good, but we cannot see the text. And for the dark mode, the background will be slate 900. So I think if I provide our dark background color, we can see it. Okay, the background color for this one is the same that we have in our background for the page, so that's why I think we cannot see it. So we need to provide a background color for this whole div, so let's provide it. So class name will be, let's say that bg. So first of all, the light background color, so slate 300. So this is for our light theme. So for the dark theme, it will be bg slate 800. And if I save, now as you can see, we have this background color which is for our individual item. Now we can see this background color for our tag. One more thing is needed here. We need to actually round this corner for this tag. so round will be MD, and if I save, looking good. And finally we need to actually provide some classes in this paragraph because it should be a flex item. So display will be flex here, and flex wrap will be wrap, and also gap between that will be the 2. Now it is looking good already. And finally flex row, by default I think it is row, and items will be center, and justify will be also center, and finally text will be extra small, and as you can see now it is extra small, but in our medium to large we should actually make it a little bit larger. So text will be small, medium text, it should be text. Yeah, looking good. So right now as you can see it is now in the center because we said here center, but it should be in the left side. So that's why the justify will be start instead of center, so it should be in the left side. Awesome. So we are almost done here. The last thing that we need to do is we need to round this item. So here in this whole div I will say round will be LG because this is a big item. So now it is round LG as you can see. But if you notice in the top where we have this class, sorry, we have these images, it is not actually having the rounded edge or rounded corner because we are having the overflow stuff here. So we will say overflow will be hidden, and as you can see in the top, even in our images we are having this round corner, which is looking fine. So let's go back to our works where we need to provide some classes in this div. So here we will say it will be a class name grid, and grid column will be 1. So grid column 1, it will be for our small device, but whenever we'll go to the medium, grid column will be 2, and for our large device I think we will continue with 2. So for our large device it will be also 2, and let's say that for our gap will be 5. And if I save that, yeah, it is looking good. As you can see for the medium to large it is actually having these 2 columns, and if I go to small device it is having 1 column. Awesome. And finally if I check my dark theme, it is really looking good. As you can see the light theme is looking really nice. Yeah, I really like that this section particularly very much. So let's create the next section, which will be our about section. So let's create the component for that first of all. So in our component, let's create a new file with the name of about.jsx and create our component here, and let's add this in our app.jsx. So after our works I will add this, so it will be our about, like that. So now if I come here in our about, sorry, we need to import that. Yeah, so if I now come here I should see this text about, which is fine. So in our about, first thing that we'll do, we'll add our section title. So section title, and it will be capital S, and if I import that, now we have we need to provide the title here, which will be about me. So we have this. Awesome. So here in our about section we will have 2 div actually. So we will have one div for our left side and another div for our right side. So this first div will be for our left side, where we will have our about me section, and also here in this case we will have some classes here. So I will say width will be full, and for our medium to large device width will be 6/12. So if I save, now you can see 6/12, which means it is a 50%. So the same will be for our next div that we have here. So instead of div, I think we will have image, because in the left side we will have information and the right side we will have image. So instead of div we will write create, or we will add an image here. So we just can copy these classes from here and paste it here. And also for our URL, I will provide a URL which will be my GitHub. I think I need to use backticks here, so let's use backticks. So this URL is actually my GitHub profile URL. If I go to open it, as you can see, this is the avatars for our for my GitHub. So I'm using this one. You can use any image as you wish. So just provide a valid URL, and if you do, you should see your image. So fine. And also for our alt text, I'll just use my name in this case, and that's it. So that's what we need for now. And also let's actually round this image, and for that, beside these classes, I will use round large, looking good, and object fit cover. Fine. So this will be fine for our image. And after that, let's go to our first tip here that we have. So here, let's say that after our section title, we will have some paragraph. So in this paragraph, we will have some text for about me text. So let's actually pass this text here. So now we have this text, and if I save, I should see this text. So let's style these texts. So here in our paragraph, I will say class name will be text MD, and for our color, we will have text gray 600, and dark mode text will be gray 300. And that's it, as you can see. And after this thing, we also need a paragraph here. Sorry, not paragraph, it will be a anchor tag for our email. So I will use my email, Shaif Arfan08@gmail. Anchor tag, I can just say mail to Shaif Arfan08@gmail.com, like that. Now we have this our anchor tag, which needs some style. So let's actually provide the styles here. So class name, let's say, so first of all, we need to make it block, and margin top will be 3, and text will be MD, and for our medium to large, it will be text LG, and font will be regular, and beside that, text will be gray 700, and for our dark, it will be text gray 300, and underline. So if I save that, I can see the underline, but for some reason we are not having any kind of we are not having the color because we mistakenly did not add this hyphen. So if I add those hyphen, it should have the correct color, and whenever I will hover, I should change the color of that. So let's add a hover class. So hover, whenever I will hover, I will say text will be indigo 500, and after that, let's also say in our dark mode, whenever I will hover, it will have text indigo 500. So if I save that, now as you can see, it is working. We are having our color, and also if I go to our light mode, I can see it is also working perfectly, and it is looking really good. So after that, the final thing for this section is we need to actually place those two items, means this first div and the image side by side, and for that we will use flex. So here in the parent div, let's say that the class name will be the flex, and we'll say flex will be the column by default, but in our medium to large, it will be flex row. So which means whenever we will be in the medium size device, it will be in the row, but whenever we will go to the small device, it will be in the column. Awesome. And also let's say that items will be the center, and justify will be also center, and we will have some gap between them, which will be 10, and also in our medium, the gap should be even bigger, 20, and padding Y will be 20 as well. Awesome. Yeah, it is looking very nice, as you can see. So whenever I'll go, it will be fine, but in the small device, it is also looking good. So finally, let's create our last section, which will be the not section, it is the footer. So let's create the footer. So in our app.js, first of all we need to actually create the component for our footer. So footer JSX and create the component like that, and we need to add this here. So after our about, let's say footer, and we need to import that. Footer text should be in the bottom. So in our footer, first of all, let's say we will have a anchor tag here. So this anchor tag will be our name. So in this case it will be Shaif Arfan, and we need to actually link that with our hero section. And if you remember, in our hero section we have a ID hero, so that's what we will link with. And if I save, now if I click this, okay, we are not having the hero section. So let's go to our hero section ID. We are not having any kind of ID in our hero section, right? So let's add the ID here. ID will be hero, and if I save, now it should work. So now if I click this, now we are in the back, in the top. So after this anchor tag, we will have another anchor tag which will be our email once again. So in this case it will be Shaif Arfan08 @gmail.com, like that. So we will also use the mail too. And that's it. So now if I save that, we should see this email here in the bottom. Awesome. So finally we need to add our copyright text here. Let's get a paragraph for that. So I'll copy this text and paste it here. So this text, as you can see, so here we are saying that not tech hub blog, it is Shaif Arfan. Here it will be your name. So also after that we will provide the current year, and after that we will say all rights reserved, and that's it. So if I save that, we should see our copyright text in the bottom. So we need some style. So first of all, let's start with this div. So let's say that class name will be py5, which means padding in the y-axis 5, and after that here we will say bg slat 800, and text will be center, and text will be gray 300, and finally rounded, we need to make it round. Rounded will be rounded TLG. So what does this mean? TLG. So rounded in the top it will be. So as you can see, it is actually having this rounded in the top only. In the bottom we are not having any kind of rounded edge. So that's it. So that's what it means. If I hover it, you can see it very easily. Rounded top left and rounded top right. Awesome. And finally we will go to our anchor tag here. So for that I will say class name will be the block, and text will be Excel, and in the medium the text will be 2XL, and font will be semi-bold, and that's it. So if I save that, yeah, it is looking good. And finally the email that we have. So for this one, let's have the class name here. So class name will be, let's say that font will be regular, and text will be a small, but in our medium to large the text will be MD, and hover, whenever we'll hover, the text will be indigo 500. So if I save, whenever I'll hover, it is indigo 500. And finally we need to style our this copyright text. So I have a class name here, and text will be extra small, and font size would be the, not size, it will be font regular, and margin top 2, and text will be gray 500. So that's it. So I think that's it. It is looking good, but one thing, it will be this color for the light mode as well. So for the light mode it will not change, we will have the same color. I think that makes sense because this is a footer, right? So yeah, that is fine. And also one more thing, I think this we do not have this class, because if I hover this class, as you can see, there is nothing happening. But if I hover other classes, as you can see, it is actually providing the information about the class, what is actually happening behind the scene. But in this one, the font regular, we do not have that. So I think we do not have the regular font size or regular weight. That's why we are not having this class. So let's still remove that. So I can remove that very easily. I can say font regular. That's what we need. So I will replace that with actually empty. So I will replace everything. Yeah, replace, and whenever I will do, now it is gone, as you can see. So awesome. So now everything should be fine. Awesome. So now we are done, and the last thing I think we need to actually add this button with the work section, right? So let's go to our work section. Sorry, not work section, hero section, and here is we have this anchor tag where we need to actually provide the ID for our works. So it is works, the ID works, and if I click now, right now, as you can see, we are having the work section. But if you notice that the scroll is not smooth, so we need to make it smooth scroll. So for that, we need to go to our HTML. So the root of the project, which is this index.html. So if I come here in our HTML, we need to add a class. The class will be a scroll smooth, and if I do that, it should be now a smooth scroll. So if I click this, no, nothing is happening. I think it is not happening because we said that if I come here, where? So if I come here in our config, Tailwind config, we said that all the Tailwind CSS will be inside of this source, but this HTML folder is not in the source, it is outside of the source folder. So that's why I think we need to add that. So for that, here let's add it in the beginning. So this will be comma. So here I will say it will be the index.html as well. So now it should be fine, I believe. So let's check it. So refresh, and if I click this, yeah, now it is working. Now it is working. As you can see, we are having this nice smooth scroll going on. Okay, that's great. So that's it. As you can see, we are done here. So here, before we finish this project, I want to do one more thing here. So in our works section, so right now we are actually having this showcase, but there is no way to click in an individual work and see the work. So for that, what I want to do, I want to actually make this whole div clickable so that we can click in a project or in a work and see the work. So for that, what I need is I need a URL for this individual project or for this individual work. So in our works data, so this is the data for this works section that we used. So here we need to add another field. So let's name it work URL. And here you can provide any kind of valid URL. So now we need to add this work URL to all of these individual work that we have. So right now I will just paste it here. And if I paste it, it will look like that. As you can see, for our first one, we have this work URL, and right now we are having this nice GitHub URL for this project or for this work, and that's what I did for all of them. Here, as you can see, for the second one, we are having the URL for this one, which is also a GitHub URL. So that's what we will do. So once we have all the work URL here, after that we will go to the works.js. So here, as you can see, in our work item, we are actually sending all of the data, and beside all the data, right now we need to add our new data, which is the work URL, and I'll say work.work URL. So after that, we need to go to this work item component. So here it is. Right now we are in the work item component. So right now we are having a div. So instead of a div, let's make it an anchor tag so that we can click it, and we need a href. So for the href, we will use the link that we have, and before we use that, we need to actually destructure that. And for that, here beside these all things, we will destructure work URL that we provided from the parent. So now we can use it. So work URL. So if I save that, as you can see in the, So as you can see, whenever now I hover here, in the left bottom corner there is the URL that we added for this individual work. And also beside that, we need to do the target underscore blank, which will open it in a new tab. So if I actually click this one, it will open it in a new tab, as you can see. So this is the project, and if I open another one, awesome. And also beside that, let's say relation will be no refer, like that. So this is it. So right now we can actually click this individual works, and it will open it in a new tab where we will see this information about the work. So that's all. And finally, if you want to build this project, you can just run this build command. So let me show you. So if I go to our package.json, here we have our build command. So let's run that and let's see what happens. So first of all, let's close this, and here let's say that npm run build, and let's wait for it. So right now, as you can see, it is actually working with our CSS. And if you notice that the CSS that we have here is around 8 kilobyte, with the zzipped it is now 2.55 kilobyte, which is pretty small, as you can see in this file, the CSS file, which is actually the magic of Tailwind CSS. So now if you come here, you can see this dist folder. So this is where now our application lives. And if you want to have a preview, you can just run this bit preview, and let's run that. And if I run that, so if I open our localhost 4173, now this is your production application. So that's how it will look like in the production. And if you check everything, yeah, it is looking good. And also the light mode and the dark mode, it is also looking good. And if you notice, whenever I came in this website first time, it was actually dark mode, because it is using my system preferred color scheme, which is the dark mode in this current time. So that's why whenever I came in this website first time, it was already in the dark mode, which is really nice. So yeah, it is looking very nice. So this is it for this video. I hope you learned something. So let me know how you like this project. Let me know in the comment section. I would really love to see those comments. And also, if you want to see more video like this one, you can just subscribe the channel and turn on the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever I will upload my next video. So turn on the notification bell and also subscribe the channel. And that's it. I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care, and Khuda Hafiz.